Hello boys and girls and welcome back. Today we are on lesson 8.4, Mental Math, Subtraction. And if you have your book, we're on page 302. Let's get started. How can you subtract with mental math? And again, just like with the addition, it doesn't mean that we only use our heads and we don't write anything down. We will record our strategies on paper with our pencils. So let's get started here. It says a store is having a sale on jackets. A jacket is on sale for $197 less than the original price. What is the sale price? When we see these two words here, less than, usually that's an indicator that we are going to subtract. Not always, but most often for us, it will mean subtraction. And a little, sorry about that, our little speech bubble right here from our friend says you can use mental math and the relationship between addition and subtraction to solve this problem. Here's a picture of a jacket. It was $352. It is now $197 off. It doesn't mean it's $197. It means we have to take $197 off the 352. So it's 352 minus 197, and then we'll find our answer for the sale price. And right here is a great vocabulary word, difference. The difference is the answer when subtracting two numbers. So just a little bit ago we learned that the sum is the answer to an addition problem, and now today we're finding out that the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. Let's take a look at one way to solve this problem. We're going to count back on a number line to find 352 minus 197. And it says to subtract 197 on an open number line, you can subtract 200 and then add 3 to it. Okay? So when we subtract 200, we're actually subtracting more than what we originally were planning on. So we're originally planning on subtracting 197. If we subtract 200, that means we subtracted more, so then we have to add the 3 back on, so we've subtracted 197. First step, we have our number line, and we have 352. Let's forget about that first number I underlined there, the 152. But we start with 352 because that's our first number in our subtraction problem, our big number. So our big number goes at the end of our number line here, 352, and then we're subtracting 200. And then if you can't do that in your head, we should always write it down. 352 minus 200. Okay, big number goes on top. And subtract the ones column first. 2 minus nothing is 2. Subtract the tens column. If we have 5 and we subtract nothing from that, we still have 5. And then we do it to our hundreds column. 300 minus 200, 100. 152 is our answer then. So that's why we got this answer. Now we do have to add the 3 back on because, again, we went too far. We subtracted 200 just because it's easier. And then we can add the 3 so that we end up only subtracting 197. And so 152 plus 3 is 155. So 352 minus 197 equals 155. That means our sale price is $155. Notice when they write in money, the dollar sign goes before the numbers. Okay, let's look at another way. We can count up on the number line to find 352 minus 197. So we can think about addition. 197 plus something will get us to 352. So the first thing we're going to do, we start at 197. Okay. The reason we're starting at 197, that was our small number in the subtraction problem. Okay, we're going to start there and add until we get to the big number. 197. The first thing we're going to do is look to get to a nice, easy, rounded number. So that's why they're adding 3 197 plus 3 gets us to 200. And 200 is a real easy number to work with then. Okay, so now we can add 100. 200 plus 100 is 300. Okay, so far we've used 103, and we're still trying to get to 352 because, again, we started with the smallest number, 197, and we need to stop once we get to 352. So we did 197 plus 3 to get to 200. Then we were able to easily get to 300 by adding 100 more. And now we can get to 352 by adding 52. And 52 is where we had to stop. Okay. Now we have to just simply look at the numbers that we added. We had 3, 100, and 52. We add those three numbers together, as we see right here, and they equal 155. So 197 plus 155 equals 352. We can use a fact family relationship and tell that 352, that number right there, minus the number we started with, 197, equals 155, these three numbers that we made the jumps by. So the sale price is $155. Okay. We can also write it this way. What were our numbers again? 352 minus 197. 352 minus 197. Okay, and we will get to this method here soon. Again, we start with our ones column. Here we have 2 minus 7. If I have 2, I can't take 7 away. I don't have enough to take 7 away. So that means we have to come over here, take a 10 away. We go from 5 tens down to 4. We take that 10 and turn it into ones. 1 10 equals 10 ones. And we add those 10 ones to our 2 ones. 10 plus 2 is 12. Now I can subtract the ones column. 12 minus 7 is 5. Now I go back to my tens column, and I have 4 tens minus 9 tens. I don't have enough. I can't do 4 and take 9 away from it. So all I have to do is come over to my hundreds column, take 100 away, add 3, and now I have 2 of them. I convert or change that 100 into tens. 100 equals 10 tens. So I take those 10 tens, add it to the 4 tens I already had. 10 tens plus 4 tens, 14 tens. Now I can subtract. 14 tens minus 9 tens is 5 tens. Now I can subtract my hundreds column. 200 minus 100, 100. So that's another way we can solve 352 minus 197. All right, let's look at our next page. Maybe. There we go. All right, another example. You can use a simpler problem to find 352 minus 197. And we kind of saw this example in those other two strategies. Something very similar anyway. We can add 3 to both numbers. And this is really important. If you're going to add something to one number, you have to add that same thing to the other number. Otherwise, it changes the problem totally. Okay? So we can add 3 to 352, and we get 355. Okay? Since we added 3 to 352, we also have to add 3 to our other number, 197, and that gets us to 200. So the reason they added 3 was to go from 197 to 200. It's a super easy number to work with because it ends in zeros. Okay, that's why they chose to add 3. So now we have a new problem. We have 355 minus 200. All right, and if we write that vertically, 355 minus 200, we don't have to do any of the regrouping because we can really now subtract easily. We subtract our ones column, 5 minus 0. If you have 5 and you don't take anything away, you still have 5. Now we can go to our tens column. 5 tens minus 0 tens. Again, we have 5 tens, we take no tens away, we still have 5 tens. And then finally we work our way to the hundreds column. 300 minus 200 is 100. So our final answer, 155, and that's what they show us here. Okay, so 355 minus 200 is 155. That means then 352 minus 197 also equals 155. Okay, super important though that if we decide to add something to one number, we have to add it to the other number also. All right, let's look at guided practice here. We have, oh my goodness, we have quite a few problems. We'll go through them rather quickly, I think, here today, though. It says, number one, in the one-way example on the previous page, why do you add 3 to 152 instead of subtracting 3 from 152? Well, let's take a look. Why did we add 3 here? Okay. Well, the reason we added 3 here, remember, we were supposed to subtract 197. That's what this first problem told us. Instead, they chose to subtract 200, so they subtracted 3 more than they were supposed to. Okay? So when we came down here, we went all the way back here and we went 3 too far. So that means then we have to add that 3 back on to get to the right spot. If we subtract 3 more and get us, and we go this way and subtract 3, that would have put us at 149. Well, what we would have done is we would have subtracted 200 and then 3 more. We would have subtracted 203. We would have subtracted way too much, right? So they subtracted the 200 and then added 3 back on so that we only subtracted 197. Okay, so that's why we add 3. Okay, so we originally subtracted 200 and then you add 3 so it equals 197 that we subtracted. That's supposed to be a subtraction sign. Okay. Number 2. Suppose a computer costs $573. Buy it today. If you buy it today, it costs $498. Okay. What is the discount? Show your work. Well, I'm going to use a number line. Actually, I'll show it to you 2 ways. This would be a great spot for you to maybe solve this on your own, and then pause the video to solve it on your own, and then resume the video again to see if one of your ways matches one of mine. But anyway, let me get to a couple strategies. One, I can use the number line, and I can start at 573, and I know I need to end at 498. Those are my 2 important numbers. Okay. And even using the number line, I have a couple different strategies I can use that I can think of. I can start at 573 and subtract 73 right away to get me to 500. Okay, so this is subtracting 73. That gets me to 500. And then I just subtract 2 more to get to 498. So when I look at these numbers, I subtracted 2 and 73. That means I subtracted $75. Okay? All right. I'm going to kind of erase all of that, and instead of thinking about subtraction, I'm going to, oh, sorry about that. I'm going to erase that. Hang on just a moment. Instead of thinking about subtraction, I'm going to think of addition. Very, very similar to what I just showed. All right, so here we go. If I start at 498, I can jump by 2, and that gets me to 500. And then all I need to do now is jump 73, and I get to 573. I just add those 2 together, and again, it's $75. Okay. One other method I want to show, and it's what we've already practiced here today, and that's very similar to what they did here at the top. Okay, so if we're at 498 I know I can add 2 to 498 to get to 500. So I can go 498 plus 2, and that equals 500. Now if I add 2 to 498, I also have to add 2 to my other number, 573. So 573 plus 2 equals 575. Now I can subtract very easily. Remember, with our subtraction, in third grade, the big number is going to go on top. Okay, so 575 minus 500. Very easy to subtract. Start with my ones column. 5 minus 0 is 5. Work to my tens column. 7 minus 0 is 7. Go to my hundreds column. 5 minus 5 is 0. I don't have to write the 0 down because it's our first digit. So $75 is our answer. So that's the second way to solve that. All right, let's look at 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 here using mental math. Number 3, 846 minus 18. One thing they did here on this problem, they added 2 so they could work with 20 and subtract 20. Much easier number to subtract with than 18. So they added 2 here. Let me redo that. They added 18 plus 2 is 20. So then we have to add 2 here as well. 846 plus 2 is 848. Then we can subtract. Okay, and we can even write this problem up here. 848 minus 20. Subtract our tens column. 8 minus 0 is 8. Or that was our ones column, excuse me. Go to the tens column. 4 tens minus 2 tens. 2 tens. Go to our hundreds column. 800 minus nothing. 800. So 828 is our answer. Number 4, very similar. We were subtracting 99, and we add 1 to 99 to get to 100. Much easier number to subtract with. Since we added 1 to 99, we have to add 1 to 534, which gets us 535. 535 minus 100. 535 minus 100, 435. Okay. Continuing that strategy, we were subtracting 216. It's easier to end in a 0. So they added 4 to get to 220. We have to add 4 to this. Gets us to 877. And now we can solve that much easier. 877 minus 220. Do our ones column first. 7 minus 0 is 7. Tens column is next. 7 tens minus 2 tens is 5 tens. Hundreds column finally. 800 minus 200, 657 then is our answer. Okay, number 6, same exact strategy. End in a 0. It's much easier to subtract that way, so they added 3 to get to 350. Since we added 3 on this side, we need to add 3 to this side. 782 plus 3 is 785. So we have 785 minus 350. And we can subtract that ones column. 5 minus 0 is 5. Subtract that tens column. 8 tens minus 5 tens. We get 3 tens. Subtract the 100 column. 700 minus 300 is 400. Okay. And finally, number 7, we're going to find 400 minus 138 using the make 10 strategy. So 138 plus something gets us to 140. Okay, that's 138 plus 2. Okay. What we're really doing here is working our way from 138 up to 400. From 138 up to 400. Okay, so we added 2 to get to 140. So now we want to get to something that ends in hundreds. We have 140. We're going to add 60 to that to get to 200. And now all we have to do is get ourselves from 200 to 400. 200 plus 200 is 400. So now we just add up these numbers right here. Okay, so we have 200 plus 60 plus 2. And that equals 262. And again, all we did was work our way from 138 up to 400. Okay, boys and girls, I'll let you use these strategies on the rest of the independent practice on this page and the next. Do your best, persevere. As always, this is Mr. P.